Hey everybody, welcome back to the GEMS podcast. I'm joined today by Chief Charles Coyle. He's here to tell us a little bit about himself and about what he's going to be teaching at FDIC in Indianapolis in April. Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to, number one, be on the show, and then number two, talk about what our future lecture is going to look like at FDIC that we're super excited about. So, my name is Charles Coyle, and I have been a paramedic for 23 years. I work primarily only one place, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. I've had the opportunity to be a paramedic on the streets. I've had the opportunity to work at our helicopter system as a critical care paramedic. I've had the opportunity to be one of our educators in our department. We work in a very big department, 1,500 people, approximately 1,475 paramedics, which is a little different than the rest of the world. I don't know if it completely makes sense, but that's the system I work in. And then essentially I had the opportunity to work on protocols and work closely with our medical directors, which ultimately led to me being our EMS chief for 5 years. So it has been an enormous ride. It's been excellent adventure for me. And I've got to learn so much from the experts all over the world and really our local trauma surgeons. And that's kind of what inspired me to kind of go on this journey to talk about trauma care pre-hospital, right? How do you have the confidence to talk about something that, when you get to the hospital and you see the trauma surgeons interact with the paramedics, sometimes it's not always the best feeling. Like they're very robotic to fixing the problem. And sometimes a paramedic kind of feels left out of that circle, right? We don't always have the confidence to say that we did the right thing pre-hospital. And when you look at cardiac care, cardiac arrest, we spend so much time on that as paramedics, right? We can do pit crew in any form or fashion. We could do it in the water. We could do it out of the water. And you really gear all your time towards it. And really, I for years, I kind of said, man, I wonder what's going on in the trauma world. Like, I feel like it's all the same. And then, things changed over the past 15 years where tourniquets started becoming a priority again, where one time they were not used. And then, we started talking about, should people be on backboards and is that the right thing to do? And turns out for many years since the 60s, we've been doing that wrong, and conversely, we could even challenge the C-collar thing right now. And then you start looking at, when I was first a paramedic and was first trained to be a paramedic, we're going to give them all this oxygen. We're going to get 2 large bore IVs, and we're going to give them as much saline as we can until to just get them to the hospital. And it turns out that's actually adversely impacting everything. So I started going on that journey, and I said, what are those things that we can improve on? And I came up with, through trial and error, through local protocol, through, talking to some of the experts around the world, these concepts, and some of the challenge and some of the dogma that we're going to try and break down during this lecture is, just 10 things that could really just change the way you provide trauma care in the streets. And, we'll get into these uncomfortable conversations about finger thoracostomy and can paramedics even do that? Is that something we should be doing? I'll just tell you biasly that I think it's the right thing for pre-hospital paramedics to be able to do. We'll talk about, I know TXA has come up so many different times and crash 1, crash 2, crash 3. I mean, this thing has been challenged and it's like, I don't understand why we're spending so much time with something that could provide benefit, right? And then what is that traumatic brain injury? What does that look like? What does that care look like? Is it give them a bunch of fluid and make sure that their blood pressure stays for collateral perfusion of the brain and making sure all those things are intact? It turns out that is the right thing from the studies, but are we using the right fluid? Should we be using something like different, like plasma? And should we be talking about those things? So, through trial and error of what I've seen locally and, some of the boundaries that we've pushed with our protocols, we've really been able to implement some things at Palm Beach County that I've seen from a local perspective, what it's done nationally. And really what I found out and what I learned that I never thought would ever happen is EMS has the opportunity right now to cross boundaries and do things differently that could impact what the hospital does. And if you just think about that for 1 second, you always looked at the hospital. I always looked at the hospital as get the patient to the hospital. There was even times where people were teaching to just get them to the hospital and they'll take care of everything. And now my pendulum has swung to think, if we did the innovative stuff, if we could take the trauma center and bring it to the streets, and we can buy a little extra time by stabilizing that patient, maybe they're a better candidate when they get to the hospital to go to surgery, and those seconds turn into minutes of opportunity for survival. So it's just been an amazing journey to watch these things happen. It's been an amazing journey to work with our trauma centers here and see locally how they don't agree with things. And then ultimately they adopt the concept. And then basically they've kind of woven themselves into our system to really change the standard of care in Palm Beach County. So this lecture isn't just about Palm Beach County. I will relate to everybody else and all the struggles that I know exist. Like when you talk about whole blood, not everybody can start a whole blood program, right? That's easy to say in an area that, you know, has a good tax funding and you got a good stable department that have good logistics. But what happens if you don't have that? You know, and I think those conversations are going to come up holistically. The thing I love about FDIC and GEMS is it's an hour and 45-minute lecture. So it's not something where we have to read everything that comes up on the PowerPoint slide and stick to the PowerPoint slide. We could easily turn it over to the crowd and see what they're looking for and see what they're missing. And through, you know, trials and tribulations of my experience, I think I can infuse some good concepts and ideas, and we could all learn from each other. So I'm super excited about the lecture. I'm super excited to be participating again in GEMS and FDIC, and I'm super excited to be on the podcast. So
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to have you there. When I was reading the description of your presentation, I was just like, yeah, we've got to have this one. Not only because of all the all the cutting edge and exciting things that Palm Beach County is known for and has been known for a long time. Just to get the ability to learn some of those things and sharpen that edge, I think it's going to be very valuable. And I'm excited to be sitting in the classroom as you're lecturing. So you've got me really looking forward to April.
excellent, Mike. Like again, I can't thank you enough for hosting the podcast and generating some interest in some of these topics. And again, we're super excited to be there. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. And I'm just overall blessed to be a part of this conference.